Welcome to African Today, the voice of a changing continent. We bring you the stories shaping Africa's present and future, from breaking news and bold analysis to culture, innovation, and voices on the ground. We're here to inform, inspire, and amplify the heartbeat of Africa every single day. Thank you for stopping by the channel. We hope you enjoy our video. Let's begin.
How a sovereignty-driven, resource-backed digital push in the heart of the Sahel could redefine African tech development. Burkina Faso's transitional president, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, has emerged as one of the most closely watched political figures in Africa. Celebrated by supporters for his anti-neo-colonial stance and criticized by others for democratic backsliding. Beyond the geopolitics, a strategic question looms. Can Traoré leverage the country's resource wealth, Pan-Sahel alliances, and rapid digital build-out to seed what advocates are branding a Black Silicon Valley, a sovereign, African-centered innovation corridor rooted in Ouagadougou and radiating across the Sahel? While the phrase is aspirational, a convergence of policy moves, infrastructure investments, and ideological messaging suggests that the ingredients for a serious tech leap are being assembled. This article maps the landscape: what exists, what's underway, what's rhetoric, and what it would take to turn ambition into durable reality. Why talk about a Black Silicon Valley now? The phrase is not an official government designation. It's an interpretive frame increasingly used in Pan-African commentary circles to describe the Burkina junta's attempt to pair sovereignty politics with technology-led development. The Traoré government has pushed to reclaim greater control over natural resource revenues, especially gold, and redirect spending toward domestic industrialization, agriculture, and infrastructure, arguing that development must be built at home, not imported. Analysts of the emerging Sahelian transition model, STM, note that resource nationalism, security-led development, and rejection of externally imposed policy conditionalities are central to this approach. myjoyonline.com, modernghana.com, nax.today. At the same time, the governing coalition is actively reshaping national symbolism, elevating cultural icons such as Thomas Sankara, recentering Pan-Africanist festivals like FESPACO, and using public culture to mobilize youth behind a sovereignty narrative that includes technological self-reliance. elpais.com. Political context: power, security, and sovereignty. Traoré seized power in a 2022 coup amid spiraling jihadist violence and public frustration. Since then, his government has postponed elections, now pushed as far as July 2029 under a revised transitional charter, and recently dissolved the Independent National Electoral Commission, consolidating control under the Interior Ministry. Critics see creeping authoritarianism. Supporters argue that security stabilization and state restructuring must precede elections. WSJ.com. Burkina Faso is also one of 3 founding members of the Alliance, or Confederation, of Sahel States, AES, alongside Mali and Niger, a bloc formed to pool resources, build joint infrastructure, and pursue a common market that could, in theory, provide a larger demand base for digital services and technology industries. The AES explicitly frames itself as an anti-neo-colonial alternative to legacy regional alignments and has discussed coordination in communications and energy, core inputs for a technology hub. en.wikipedia.org, elpais.com. Baseline: Burkina Faso's digital starting point. Despite the rhetoric, Burkina Faso begins its digital push from a low connectivity base. As of January 2025, an estimated 5.75 million internet users represented roughly 24% internet penetration, leaving more than 3/4 of the population offline. Evidence of a vast addressable growth opportunity, but also a major infrastructure gap. datareportal.com. Earlier policy groundwork exists. The government adopted the National Strategy for the Development of the Digital Economy, SN@DEEN, 2018-2027, which set goals around governance, digital trust, broadband rollout, and ICT-enabled public services to transform the economy by 2027. Though predating Traoré's rule, the framework provides institutional scaffolding that the current transition can repurpose. dig.watch. The infrastructure surge: towers, coverage, and data centers. Closing the white zones. The Ministry of Digital Transition has launched an aggressive, multi-channel program to expand telecom reach into unserved white zones. Plans for 800 new telecom towers sites in 2025 are underway, combining funding from the Digital Transformation Acceleration Project, PAC Digital, and the Universal Service and Access Fund, FASU, with coordination among operators Orange Burkina, Telecel Faso, and Onatel. Targets extend toward covering 1,000 white zones nationally by 2027, an expansion critical to any tech ecosystem outside the capital. Ecofork.com, techafricanews.com, powersofafrica.com. State spending and network rehabilitation. Government spending on digital infrastructure has accelerated. More than 18 billion CF franc, $30 million, was invested to expand telecom and administrative connectivity, including support to operators restoring service in insecure regions and connecting 44 new localities. Over 2,900 public buildings are now linked to the National Administration Network, RACINA, strengthening the digital backbone for e-government and data exchange. Data centers and digital sovereignty. Data localization and sovereign compute capacity are recurring themes in Traoré-era messaging. Burkina Faso's digital roadmap for 2025 includes the construction of 2 mini data centers, reported at roughly 70% completion as of early 2025, and broader efforts to expand secure digital platforms and identity systems, WURI project. powersofafrica.com, weartech.africa. Complementing state builds, private and partnership projects are emerging. A waste-to-energy-powered data center project, led by Essor Services and Kaya Energy, is slated for completion, targeted November 2025, and aims to generate 12 megawatts of electricity for digital workloads, linking circular energy systems with compute infrastructure. datacenterdynamics.com, cloudnews.tech. Meanwhile, Orange's Balkui data center in Ouagadougou is being partially solarized through a partnership with SolarX, expected to provide roughly 37% of its power from solar, an example of hybridized lower-carbon colocation that could support local hosting, caching, and edge services in a future Burkina Faso tech cluster. Afric21.Africa. Financing the vision, resource nationalism as a tech war chest. A core differentiator of the Traoré approach is the attempt to retain a far larger share of gold revenue within national borders and redirect extractive income toward domestic priorities. Commentators tracking Sahelian sovereignty politics cite directives to ensure up to 80% of gold revenue stays local, audits of foreign mining concessions, and policies to expand state purchasing of gold, measures designed to capture capital that could underwrite infrastructure, agro-industrialization, and potentially a digital build-out. MyJoyOnline.com, Modern Ghana Today. Resource-backed development has already been linked to local processing initiatives, including domestic tomato and cotton processing plants, signaling a willingness to channel state or redirected revenues into value addition industries. A similar model could be extended to semiconductor assembly, device refurbishment, or low-cost computing hardware if policy alignment and skills development follow. Nax.today. Human capital, from cultural mobilization to technical skills. Building a tech hub requires talent pipelines. Burkina Faso's government is using cultural nationalism and youth mobilization platforms, such as the revitalized FESPACO Film and Television Festival and public memorialization of Thomas Sankara, to rally young citizens around a shared national project. While cultural initiatives are not formal STEM programs, they create social cohesion and narrative legitimacy that can help recruit youth into state-backed development missions, including digital training. The National Digital Push also includes digitization of administrative procedures, 169 platforms identified, 77 operational, 92 in deployment, and the planned mass enrollment under the WURI Digital ID program, both of which will require trained technologists, systems integrators, cybersecurity staff, and regional service partners, indirectly stimulating local skill formation. weartech.africa, powersofafrica.com. Building blocks of a Burkina Faso innovation ecosystem. Below are the foundational pillars that would need to cohere for Burkina Faso to credibly claim a Black Silicon Valley mantle. Each draws on current policy signals and infrastructure moves already in motion. 1. Ubiquitous, resilient connectivity. rapid execution of the 800-site tower program, prioritization of fiber or high-capacity microwave backhaul to secondary cities, and integration with AES cross-border links would radically expand the addressable market for digital services. Metrics: cent population covered by 4G, 5G pilots, latency to regional IXPs. Ecofinagency.com, techafricanews.com, powersofafrica.com. 2. Sovereign compute and energy-smart data infrastructure. Domestic hosting options reduce dependency on foreign clouds and improve data governance. The mini data centers, state, plus waste-to-energy and solarized private facilities, Essor, Kaya, Orange Solar X, create a diversified footprint that could attract fintech, agri-data, media streaming, and AI training workloads tuned to Sahel languages. Datacenterdynamics.com, Afric21.Africa, powersofafrica.com. 3. Resource-backed innovation fund. Earmarking a portion of retained gold revenue to a sovereign innovation or venture co-investment fund could seed local startups, attract diaspora engineers, and de-risk greenfield manufacturing, e.g. device assembly, ruggedized agri-sensors. Commentators already document the government's push to keep gold earnings in country and reinvest in domestic production. myjoyonline.com, modernghana.com, nax.today. 4. Digital Public Infrastructure DPI Stack. Scale the digitization of administrative services, already 169 platforms identified, into modular, API-driven public rails, identity, payments, licensing, land records, agri-extension data, and education credentials. A functioning DPI stack reduces barriers for private developers to build consumer and enterprise apps. weartech.africa, powersofafrica.com. 5. Regional market integration via AES. If Burkina Faso can harmonize data rules, telecom roaming, and digital trade standards across Mali and Niger under the AES framework, startups gain a tri-country launchpad from day one, multiplying user bases and investment appeal. AES founding documents emphasize pooled infrastructure and a common market ambition. 6. Narrative capital and diaspora engagement. The government's use of Pan-African cultural platforms to craft a break from colonialism identity is already resonating with African and diasporic audiences. Channeling that enthusiasm into remittance-backed angel networks, diaspora mentorship, and remote tech workforce programs could accelerate ecosystem formation. elpais.com, wsj.com. Risks, constraints, and credibility gaps. Security overhang. Large swaths of rural Burkina Faso remain contested or vulnerable to insurgent attack, complicating tower deployment, fiber protection, and talent retention. Analysts note that violence surged in recent years even as the junta has pursued sovereignty reforms. wsj.com. Governance and investor confidence. Dissolving electoral institutions and extending military rule risks scaring off long-horizon investors, especially in capital-intensive tech infrastructure, who typically seek regulatory predictability and rule-of-law guarantees. Recent moves to shift election administration under the Interior Ministry underscore these concerns. apnews.com, wsj.com. Low starting connectivity and capacity gaps. With only about a quarter of the population online as of early 2025, the country must move from expansion planning to execution at scale. Bridging the gap from policy documents SN to universal service will require financing, supply chain security, and maintenance in conflict zones. Datareportal.com, dig.watch. Security improves in core corridors. Tower rollout surpasses 600 live sites by end 2026. Data centers operational. Gold-backed innovation fund launched. AES. Investors, policymakers, and African tech founders should watch Burkina Faso's metrics closely. If the government can translate its nationalist energy into transparent execution, and if regional AES integration delivers a market multiplier, the Sahel could surprise the continent.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe to help grow the channel. Until next time, see you soon.